When I was a kid, there was a playbook for getting into the NFL. I knew what I needed to do in high school and in college to have the opportunity to play professionally. But when it came to becoming an astronaut, there was no playbook for that. I had to figure it out as I went along. Unfortunately, a lot of young people feel that way about many careers in science, technology, engineering, and math, what we call the STEM fields. With the Next Frontier Initiative Careers Playbook series, we're out to change that. Base 11 is bringing you firsthand experiences, advice, and insights from leaders of some of the most exciting and promising companies on the planet. I'm excited to introduce someone who works at the intersection of two really cool industries, the automotive industry and technology. As the Vice President of Product Planning and Mobility Strategy for Hyundai Motor North America, Olabisi Boyle guides the strategic direction for Hyundai's U.S. vehicle lineup, and she leads the mobility strategy for the company, such as connected car technology. She spent more than 20 years in the automotive industry, including at Chrysler and Ford, and she worked in the financial technology industry for Visa, where she oversaw the company's in-car payment technology. Olabisi also serves as an advisory board member of the Los Angeles Auto Show and a co-chair of the Chrysler African American Network. Recently, she was named one of 2020's most influential women in the Bay Area by the San Francisco Business Times. I want to give a big shout out and welcome to Olabisi Boyle. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Leland. I'm so excited to be with you. You are my astronaut hero. And I am so glad to get to spend this time with you.
Likewise, this is going to be fun. I just want to ask you a few questions because we want to get this STEM career playbook going and get these next Olabisis, on their path to becoming a successful vice president or CEO or whatever they decide they want to do with their lives. The auto industry certainly isn't a new industry, but it's really being transformed by digital technology. Why is this a highly attractive next frontier industry for students and young adults to enter in right now, in your view?
There are these mega trends in society that impact product innovation. Post-pandemic, right?
Right.
Will the car need to be this infection-free sanctuary? Will all the surfaces in the car need to be antiviral? Will we want contactless voice-activated payments that are paid to vendors along your commute?
Wow.
Climate change is important to people. Will you need an eco strategy that includes battery electric vehicles, plug-in, hybrid vehicles, fuel cell vehicles, so that we get to that planet-friendly, zero emissions future?
Right.
Economic disruption because of the pandemic. Are you using your car as a second gig, as your side hustle? What interior conveniences might you need in the car to support those? And then trends just in automotive altogether, mobility, electrification, connectivity. With mobility, are you designing the next EV car sharing or ride hailing or autonomous delivery bot that's bringing you medicine for COVID or post-COVID? And is there urban air mobility in future cities that's hydrogen powered or EV or electric powered? Electrification, not only battery electric vehicles, which many people are very aware of, but those fuel cell electric vehicles. And you could be powering that for the future. When you talk about connectivity, how do you connect to other vehicles and vehicles talk to each other for safety? How do you connect to transportation infrastructure?
Wow.
How do you connect to your digital life? So you're on your commute. One use case, like in-car payments, you could use your car to pay the parking meter via voice, pay the toll, pay the fast food restaurant when you pick up your coffee in the morning. And you never hand them your phone, you never hand them a credit card, you never hand them cash, you just do it by voice. All hands-free while keeping your hands on the wheel until we have autonomous vehicles. And then autonomous vehicles, exploring what living in a driverless world would mean for safety, would mean for society, would mean for mobility in general. Opportunities exist to code in the back end of the digital technology in these automobiles. And what I love about Hyundai in particular is that all those things I mentioned, we have examples that either currently exist today or in development in all of those spaces. The next 5 to 10 years are a revolution, or like they like to say out here, a disruption in the industry. And it's the time to be here because you're going to be developing the products for the way we're all going to live in the future. So sorry, long answer. But yeah, I think it's time
Wow.
for humans to consider the auto industry.
You really touched on the intersectionality of all the different disciplines. I mean, we talk about fuel cells. We had fuel cells in the space shuttle that gave us electricity when we were flying. So it sounds like these cars are really using that next generation of technology that's like space technology, right?
Right, right. Planes,
So,
trains, all sorts of mobility.
right, right.
You know, those spaceships are mobility as well.
Oh, definitely. We'll have our own personal spaceships one day and can head up to the moon and back for, get some moon coffee or something. But so I think you hit on some of this, but what do you see as the most significant growth opportunities in the industry broadly?
So, you have EV and battery EV.
Mm-hmm.
They're further along in the journey in terms of infrastructure and how you charge those vehicles and things like that. One significant growth area, because it's earlier, it's in its infancy in the journey, is this hydrogen infrastructure, the hydrogen economy. How do you distribute it in a safe way? And then when the second place that I'd look at is autonomous and autonomous vehicle engineers and entrepreneurs. There are so many use cases for autonomous vehicles.
Right.
So shuttle buses, think about all this time where we're all working from home, and yeah, you have Instacart delivering your groceries and maybe CVS delivering your medicine. What if that's done with autonomous bots and shuttle buses? And you have your consumer mobility, so regular cars that everyone's driving, but that last mile sidewalk delivery, bringing that medicine or those groceries to your house. And then personal mobility, e-scooters, e-bikes, all of that. So between autonomous, between accelerating the journey for hydrogen, because sometimes we'll get in conversations and it'll be a conversation, battery EV versus fuel cell EV. My answer to that is whatever technologies accelerate our journey towards a planet-friendly, zero-emission world. There is room for all of this. It's not a one or the other. Some are going to have better needs, different use cases. Some are going to have different ways to accelerate. But the goal is, how do we get to that sustainable future?
Right. You said planet-friendly. Looking at the planet from space,
yeah,
I always thought that the planet was fragile. The planet's not fragile. We are fragile. The planet's going to burp us out and then do its thing and regenerate itself over decades, but we are going to be the ones.
So we better be friendly to the planet.
Exactly. So basically, let's turn to the playbook. Now, in order to maximize their chances for success, what are the most important steps an aspiring young person should take from middle school age through university to landing their first job at a company like Hyundai?
So I like to spend a lot of time, maybe too much time talking about this, but I'll start out with this. Spend that time getting built up. By built up, I mean study science, technology, engineering, and math. Getting that early foundation in knowledge, credentials in your education, it establishes a foundation that makes you resilient to whatever challenges life throws your way. And we'll all have our set of challenges as we go through life. If you stay focused on getting built up, meaning study STEM, get credentials, work hard every day, come correct in the rain and the shine. We can all come correct in the shine. You are a person of character when you can still come correct and smile in the rain. Establish receipts and deliver on what you say. If you focus this time on getting built up in STEM, you will never, ever have to worry about being puffed up. Get built up so you never have to worry about being puffed up.
I really like that, getting built up but not puffed up. You don't have to act like you're something. You are something because you've built yourself. You've done the work. You've got the grit and the sacrifice to get built up in that way. So I want to hear more about your own personal journey that has led you to this amazing position as Vice President of Product Planning and Mobility Strategy at Hyundai. And you can you can say anything you want about your journey, because I think we have some aspiring BCs out there that have, you don't know what they've gone through. Maybe they don't think that they can be this or do this because of their circumstances, but give us your journey.
The reason I talk a lot about that being built up so you're never puffed up is I've always felt strongly about being built up. It was one of the reasons I wanted to study in the STEM fields and mechanical engineering and physics. And I tried to get in the best schools and graduate from the best schools that I could. I still today hustle with my team to work on delivering our objectives. And as I grew in my career, you'll find, you'll maybe get a foundational expertise in one area. But I was in auto for a while, and for 20 years, more than a while. But then an opportunity opened up to me in IoT, Internet of Things, and fintech. And at first I was like, well, why, I know auto and I'm grounded in that. And it might be a little scary to try something new. And then for the last 4 years, I ended up becoming a thought leader and an expert in IoT and how we bring payments to an IoT device as significant as the car, so that it can be used as a connected device to make tokenized payments to various vendors on your commute. And then I knew about the auto industry. Then I started learning about tech and AI and 5G and IoT. And then
now,
I
what
also learned
is
about
IoT? Tell us what IoT is.
It is the Internet of Things. And basically it's connected devices talking to other connected devices. But how can we use those end-to-end solutions to make meaningful impact in our lives? So if I'm driving on my commute, but I want to keep my hands on the wheels, how can I order my McDonald's, but just do it via voice? And I never have to give the phone to anyone. It orders in advance by saying, order me a Happy Meal, and automatically it pays before I get there. I just get there and they hand me the Happy Meal.
Right. As a little girl,
yes,
you knew that you wanted to go into a STEM field. What was the impetus that gave you that direction? I know you said about building yourself up and going to the best colleges, but what gave you that drive as a little girl to say, I want to be in these fields?
So I would say, and I could probably better describe it now than probably I could articulate it then, I always loved form and function. Mm-hmm. So function is, how do I get this to work as designed? How do I get that car to do 0 to 60 in this time frame? How do I have those ride and handling dynamics? So I like the idea of making things work as they were designed, but I also liked the form aspect. Was it pretty? Did it look nice? Did it have beautiful colors? What I love about the auto industry is you want a car that you go out and you love how this car looks. But also it accelerates how you may want it to. Or if I'm interested in sustainability, it gets me to where I want to go, but in a planet-friendly way. And so why I eventually gravitated to the car industry is I felt it's so best combined form and function. Mm-hmm. And I liked those two things, and it brought those together.
So it really sounds like when you talk about STEM, you're really talking about STEAM. You're adding the A for the arts.
Oh, for sure. For
graphic arts, creative arts, language arts, all the things that are wrapped in there. And our next question is, as an African-American woman, engineer, working in the auto industry, what advice do you have for young women and young people of color, or anyone who might feel other, who wants to become a leader in, I'm going to put the A in there, a leader in STEAM?
I'll say this. In our country, sometimes in general, but also in industry in America, sometimes when you are an underrepresented minority in a majority-centered space, you can feel isolated. You can feel alone. And sometimes because of that, and because people are sometimes people want to give the opportunities that get you built up to people that they're used to hanging out with, sometimes you don't get those promotions, or you don't get that ability to be in front of someone that's a critical leader that can see your leadership showcased.
Right.
And so what I find is it is my duty, responsibility to ensure not only is there a pipeline from entry level to senior management for underrepresented minorities in these spaces. But it is my responsibility to acknowledge that you might not feel included and set up the situation so you might be included. So if I'm in a room and in general, the person that they're suggesting for that next critical opportunity that will be showcased in front of the CEO, they're saying, let's choose person X. And I see that we haven't considered person Y, and maybe person Y never got those opportunities before, not because maybe you were trying to select them out, but they just weren't in your realm of thinking to select them in. I have to have the courage, have the responsibility, the duty to say, let's wait to make that decision till we talk to all the people that are available.
Right.
So I think it's definitely, we need to bring in the pipeline, but it's not just bringing in the pipeline and developing that pipeline. It is ensuring, acknowledging that people could feel excluded and taking proactive steps to make sure they are included. Because I think sometimes people will, I'm not doing anything to exclude anyone, but no, I'm saying you have to be an active player in this. You have to recognize that that is a legitimate concern for people, because what happens is people will come in, and even they're in, if they look up and they don't see anyone that looks like them, they say, we don't make it to that level.
Right.
Or that doesn't happen for us. And I want to be out here. It absolutely happens for us. We're going to go in there. We are built up. Ignore any noise of anyone that might be suggesting you are puffed up, and take the steps to go in there. And it's my responsibility to make sure that you are feeling included, not only that you are there, but that you are included. I understand what experiences they're going to be talking about that you need to get there. So I want to make sure that you have those experiences, because I'm 150% convinced being built up and having the experiences, you'll be able to outshine everybody. You'll be the next leading candidate for the job.
That is so true. I remember one time I was speaking to some kids in a room, and I said, one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. And I asked all the kids who wanted to be an astronaut. None of the girls raised their hand, because they said, you said it's for mankind, not humankind. And I changed my language on that day so that I was more inclusive, so that everyone saw there was an opportunity for them. Right. So I really like that inclusion and letting people, build up and show up, not puff up. Mm-hmm. So we have one last area. This is gonna be kind of fun. It's called the lightning round of questions. And I'm gonna get some quick response answers from you for these questions, okay? You ready?
Yes.
Favorite hero.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Captain Picard or Captain Kirk? I like them both.
Okay, got it. Your favorite color?
Blue.
Mine too, by the way, as you can tell.
That's why I said
it. Favorite meal?
Oh, blackened salmon with Cajun sauce from Real Seafood in Ann Arbor. God, I could taste
nice.
it right now.
Who inspires you?
My mom, unfortunately, she passed away.
I'm sorry.
But she is the one who taught me about positivity, resilience, and being built up. And she inspires me still every day.
Fantastic. End this sentence for me. The future is
now. Now.
Like
you have the ability, the right, the duty to help us shape the future in a way that is consistent with your values. We want you here with your passion, your energy, and your knowledge.
I love that. I love that. Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Without a doubt.
Paper books or audio books?
I'm old school. I'm sorry. I'm into tech, but I like paper books.
What is your favorite book?
There's this, what is his name? It's right here. Mr. Leland Melvin. He has this book called Chasing Space. Have you heard of him?
No, I don't know anything about that. My goodness, Olabisi, our time has come to an end, but I want to thank you so much for sharing these insights, because this is letting us see the future of the intersectionality of all things, and how STEAM really helps people shape our planet, shape our world, and shape our communities. So I just want to tell you good luck on all of these incredible endeavors, and Godspeed on your next journey.
Godspeed to you, my friend. It was great. I so appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you so much. All right.
All righty.
Game over.